Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Town Hall in your neighborhood, and this neighborhood, City Hall. Do we have a difference between Town Hall? I think we do.
We call it City Hall.
City Hall. That sounds more formal. Welcome to City Hall in your neighborhood. And this neighborhood, of course, we are here in the Fremont Park Community Room, the newly renovated Fremont Park on Hahn Avenue, right here in the beautiful city of Glendale. And may we have roll call.
Councilmember Asadrian,
Here.
Brotman,
Here.
Garpetian,
Here.
Kasakian,
Here.
and Mayor Najarian.
Here. May we have your report?
The agenda for the Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 special public meeting of the City Council was posted on January 14, 2026 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. Before we begin, this meeting is a little different than the usual meetings that we're used to at City Hall. Mr. City Manager, would you like to just highlight a few of the differences tonight?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Najarian, members of City Council. Good evening. Thanks for the audience for being here. As the mayor noted, this is the event that we bring the City Hall to your neighborhood, as opposed to you coming to the City Hall for Tuesday evening meetings. We have an exciting lineup of presentation for everyone to enjoy and partake in. We typically try to plan these items that may be of interest to the neighborhood, to the area, but as well as to the community in general. And we have 4 items. We'll kick it off. Mr. Mayor, if there is no other comments.
I do want to let everyone know there is no phone set up, so no one will be calling in. We have public comment permitted on only these 4 items. There is no general public comment. And for each of these items, the public comment, I think we'll do it as we typically do, 3 minutes for each. Is that good, Mr. Clerk?
Yes,
Okay, let's start with the first. And I do want to say that because we're conducting this meeting a little bit more informally, if my colleagues would like to go into the audience, if the audience would like to, wave at a colleague and ask one of us to sit next to them, that's perfectly permissible. So we're not like the strict rules of decorum that we have at the City Council.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr.
So I do know that I respect our rules for having public comments only related to this item, but I know that part of the purpose for the City Hall in your neighborhood was for people to come from the neighborhood to tell us what the issues are affecting them in this area. So if that's not allowed, I'd just like to say I'll stay behind after for anyone who wants to come. Already ahead of the meeting, a few individuals approached me and raised issues. So if you came here with a specific issue about something in your neighborhood, in front of your house, you see something, you want to say something, I'm sure we will all stick around and staff will as well. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. So let's start with the first item, Mr. Galania.
First item is, as you noted, the Fremont Park update. We are here at Fremont Park. This is the newly constructed community room, highly used, and we have reservations for the rest of the year, from what I hear. Beautifully renovated. If you haven't had a chance, you can come back during the day and enjoy the amenities. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Onik Bulanikian, our Director of Community Service and Parks.
Thank you. You basically just covered my entire presentation, Rubik. So thank you, Mayor Najarian, members of the council, city staff, as well as the community. I would like to just update you all on the renovation of this beautiful facility. I call it Glendale's mini amusement park, and it sure is. If you go outside, especially on a Saturday, Sunday, the facility is packed with families playing, kids playing, adults playing, and so on. So we're really excited that this park has opened to our residents. So the park did open October 11th of last year, 2025. We have a number of amenities. We have a number of amenities that have been updated and installed. Our playground, we have 2 different playgrounds, ages 2 to 5, as well as 5 to 12. One of the asks from the community was to keep the playground, or to install a playground with a long slide, and sure enough, we have a playground with a long slide. We updated the exterior of the Glendale Model Railroad Club, added an ADA pathway, and provided some fresh exterior paint. The Glendale Model Railroad Club is open a couple times a month. They provide programs and tours for youth and adults, and educate the community in terms of trains, locomotives, and so on in the Southern California area. Brand new water feature, a splash pad that is operated 6 months out of the year, about May through October every year. We have a number of picnic shelters. 2 of the picnic shelters are available for rent, and we have 1 that's available on a first-come, first-served basis. We also have a outdoor fitness equipment area that is heavily used by youth, adults, and seniors. And we have 8 renovated tennis courts, and the tennis courts are operated by the Glendale Tennis Academy. So number of park visitors before and after renovation. So before renovation, we were estimating around 7,000 park users per week. After the facility was built and open, we're estimating a little over 9,000 visitors, about 95, an average of 9,500 visitors. The first couple weeks, we had close to 11,000 visitors per week. We use a app or a program called Placer AI to see how many people are visiting our parks, and we'll be expanding that AI to all of our parks, the Placer AI app to all of our parks, hopefully within the next year or so. So our park visitation has increased by 33%. So picnic shelters, so far since October 11th, we've had 50 picnic reservations, birthday parties, baptisms, quinceañeras, family picnics. The cost for the picnic shelter, standard cost is $41 an hour, and each picnic shelter holds 60 people. Community building, which is the building that we're here, we've had 27 reservations. That's $61 an hour, and it holds 80 people. And we also have a small meeting room inside that holds 12. Our multi-purpose field, we've had a number of reservations. Adult sports, 153 reservations, and youth sports, 180. I do like to add that this field is also available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. for free open play. So if anyone is interested, they can come in and play at no cost. Eventually, we would like to expand our master soccer program that is held at Glendale Sports Complex for seniors, having the master soccer program here at Fremont Park as well. Maintenance work, we currently have 1 full-time salaried groundskeeper that maintains the facility, as well as 1 hourly that maintains the facility. So daily, what staff looks at, restroom, litter pickup, playground inspections are done daily, as well as emptying trash cans on an as-needed basis. Weekly, we have our mow crew that comes in weekly to mow the grass, trim the edges, and blow debris from hardscapes, and also as an as-needed basis. For example, our playground, the playground 5-bar is blown and cleaned on a daily basis. That is a safety issue if we don't have enough 5-bar, so we have staff maintaining the playground area on a daily basis. Monthly, during the colder months, we mow the lawn once a month, groom and brush the soccer field once a month. We are going to change that due to the heavy use of the field. We will be changing that to twice a month per manufacturer recommendations. 80 to 100 hours of playtime is best to groom or brush the soccer field. And then quarterly, we'll trim the trees, work with our public works folks and our contractor to trim the trees, prune and shape the shrubs, and pressure washing on an as-needed basis. So e-bikes, e-scooters, and e-skateboards, I know the police department will be talking about different types of e-bikes, e-scooters in our, what they've been doing in terms of enforcement. But what we've been doing, we went ahead and placed a number of A-frame signs throughout the park to limit and not allow e-bikes and e-scooters. What we've noticed is they accelerate, users accelerate, they go on the sport course, on the soccer field. I remember, we got a report, the first week, we had an e-bike on the soccer field. So this is helping out some sort, as well as enforcement from our friends over at the police department. Addressing smoking, we've added 25 new smoking signs with an additional 10 signs added. We also distributed brochures on no smoking, gambling, and alcohol, and staff on a daily basis, as well as our law enforcement partners, continue to talk to the park users so they can maintain a safe, healthy environment for the park users here at Fremont Park. Speeding, we added, our friends over at Public Works added speed humps right here across the parking lot to reduce speeding, and we're also working with traffic engineering to install a speed limit sign throughout the park facility in the neighborhood. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. I know that was short, quick, and sweet, but any of our viewers interested in renting any of our facilities at Fremont, they can call 818-937-7466. And if they want to rent a soccer field, they can call 818-548-6420. That's the sports complex. I also have our park planning staff. We're updating our open space conservation recreation element. If any of the participants here and the residents are interested in filling out a survey, the open space element is being updated currently, and we're always looking for community input on how to make our department better. It'll be a guiding document for the next 25, 30 years on what amenities the city would need in terms of parks and recreation and community services.
Okay, thank you.
I'd
Do
like
my
to ask-
colleagues have questions?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a couple of questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. So can you give us a general, how long from when the park was closed the process took? And then, I don't know, did we mention the dollar amount in this presentation? I think that it warrants repeating, in part because it's a very high figure, and people, I think all of us should understand things don't cost what they used to. How many mature trees were removed, and how many new ones were planted? And some of the comments online have spoken to the fact that there's an abundance or too much concrete in this area. If you could speak to the design, what the methodology was about the pathways and what was removed and why. Thank you.
Great question. So the total cost of the project was $27 million. We started planning for the project. Our first community meeting here at Fremont Park was April of 2015. The master plan was approved by council December of 2015. Design development took a few years, permitting took a few years, and then COVID hit. And then construction started, I believe, October of 2023. We completed October of 2025.
Thank you.
So it was a 10-year, a little over a 10-year project. The number of trees that were taken, I don't have that on hand, but whatever was taken out, we planted double. So we planted additional trees at the site. And in terms of concrete, the community wanted a drive path and a path where PD and law enforcement, safety, public safety can drive around and patrol. So that was added, as well as additional DG path and a walk path to have, so the community can go out and exercise and having walking path and so on. So hence the reason why we had additional concrete.
So DG, meaning decomposed granite?
Decomposed granite,
Like
yes.
hard soil that people walk on. And in regard to water capture, the amount of concrete didn't affect that? Because I know there's features out there for water capture.
We have we have a number of bioswales that capture water and go into the aquifer. So environmentally, we are capturing water. We've planted drought-tolerant plants. And our water feature, the splash pad that we have is treated water. So it's like a swimming pool, right? It's chlorinated, it's got a 1,000-gallon tank. It's chlorinated as well as treated with UV, so it's safe for the residents to use.
Okay. And so this is, by the way, this is, I believe, Glendale's oldest park, if I'm not mistaken, the first park?
Yes, it was built in 1927 or 29, if I'm mistaken.
And of something of this scope and magnitude, which park is on the list next for this type of a renovation?
If all goes well, our hope is Joann's Fabrics. We purchased Joann's back in July of 2025. We're going to start the community outreach hopefully within the next few months. We've applied for a number of grants through the state of California and LA County. So our next project is Joann's, and that's a 2.39 acre site. We're hoping to have both passive and active recreation, but we will work with the community as well as council to come up with a plan for that park.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's all.
Thanks. Any other comments from council members? Mr. Brock?
Yes, it's pretty echoey in here. I hope people can hear me. First thing I want to say is those speed bumps are pretty serious. I came in and felt them, and just want to say I like it. We should do more of those. I don't know what it'll do to our cars, but I think it'll definitely keep people from speeding, that's for sure. I did want, I know the public is going to speak and have questions, but I hope at some point you can address a lot of the angst and upset around tennis. Because, and I would like to understand what was the availability and the cost of the courts before and after. And if you could talk a little bit about why, our strategy, why we have a third party manage these courts and what we can do to accommodate people that can't afford, I think it's now $20 an hour, which is steep. So what we can do about that. And, we're probably all hearing it. I've heard a lot about these concerns.
Yeah, the Fremont courts have been operated by a concessionaire for over 30 years. Glendale Tennis Academy currently operates the courts. They've been operating, I believe, since 2013. Before their contract was expired, I believe they were charging $8 to $12 an hour, and the availability was similar to what the availability is now. One of our audit's recommendation was to have our tennis concessionaires have a online, basically go online and have an online reservation system, as well as a system where they can collect money online for reporting purposes. But let me go back to your question on why we RFP'd and have a concessionaire running it. So since it's an 8-court facility, we wanted to fill in the gaps so the city couldn't provide recreation programming or tennis programming. We don't have that expertise. So we wanted to have a concession come in or a tennis pro come in and provide those services. So what Glendale Tennis Academy does now, they have adult classes, they have youth classes, they have USTA, United States Tennis Association tournaments. They have pros coming in and teaching these kids how to play tennis. Open to the public. One of the requirements for the RFP was how many hours a week are you going to be open to the public? Free open to the public. Fremont courts are open Monday through Friday. There's a number of courts that are open 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Free, and then 12 o'clock till 2 o'clock. So 4 hours a day they're open to the public, Monday through Friday, free, no charge to the public. And then seniors get a discount, 50% discount. So if you're a senior 60 and over, you get a 50% discount. So a $20 an hour rental will be $10 an hour. So I hope I covered all your questions.
Okay, yeah. For now, that's,
So for now, yeah. So basically, we don't have the capability of operating a tennis court. And then with our other courts, there's another court, another tennis court or facility that we RFP, which is Glorieta, that has 5 courts. We've heard from the community back in the day, I mean, I wasn't here, but from his history and talking to other employees, there was unwanted behavior, different types of instructors coming and monetizing and taking over the courts and not having courts available to the public. So an instructor would come teaching it, a number of hours and not having those courts available. If we have a concessionaire operating these courts, it's more controlled, and they would have both open time, reservable time, and time for tennis pros to teach classes to the youth, teens, and adults.
okay. And the reservable time, I understand the open time is free.
Yeah.
The reservable time is what's 20 an hour now?
Yes, 20 an hour, and then seniors get a 50% discount.
And it was 8 to
I believe it was 8, I believe it was
10?
12.
12?
Yes.
So why has it gone up so much?
Well, we compared the prices, they compared the prices to Burbank and Glendale. Burbank is $25 an hour for regular courts, and clay courts is $30 an hour. And then Pasadena, they have memberships. So an application, one-time application is $400. And then if you want to use one of 2 tennis complexes, it's $90 a month membership. And if you want to use both, it's $125 a month. And that membership will allow you to have, to reserve a court 4 times a week.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Garbettian.
Yes, thank you, and welcome, everyone. Great to have you all here. Quick question about the $12 or $20 an hour. Is it per person on the court, or it's for the entire court? So like 4 people can play. Is it per person or per court?
For the entire court.
For the entire court, $20. So I can come reserve it and, kick the ball around, if you will, with 2 or 3 of my friends.
Yes.
And 8 to 10 in the morning and 12 to 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
How busy are these courts at that time? Because these are, off-peak hours, and not many people are home. Usually they come home, they want to go, play tennis for half an hour. It's after 6 p.m. How busy are these courts during these off-peak hours?
I'm not sure, but talking to the concessionaire, 8 to 10 can get busy. I believe they only have 2 courts available, open to the public. The 6 courts are available for rent because they do get busy. The courts between 12 and 2 are all available because that's downtime for them, between 12 and 2. And then after 3 o'clock is when their youth program starts. So between 3 and 9:30, most of the courts are busy with youth programming, as you see outside.
Yeah, so when you say youth program, is it the program that the concessionaire runs?
Yes.
And
Their youth
charges
academy.
people per person to join? And it's like a little business, basically.
Yes, their youth academy.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Kasakian.
Oh, no, I didn't have a question. I'm good. But, just out of curiosity, so how many folks here are from the neighborhood? I would like to see show of hands. Who live within half a mile or 3/4 of a mile? Okay, all right, a couple of hands went down there. All right, cool. Just curious. Want to know how effective our outreach is to getting folks to come in. So those who raise their hands, I appreciate it.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, let's see what the public would like to say.
I have 2 cards for this item.
Yes.
First card is Fernando Roldan.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Again, my name is Fernando Roldan. Of course, you've already heard me most of the time on the phone. Now I'm here in person and all. And Chris, great to meet you guys in person. A couple of things about this project. First of all, thank you, because believe, Councilman Kay, I understand what you're saying, but some of us need the cement only because some of us don't want to get stuck in with our wheels in the park, and I mean, and we do need a little bit more of cement, especially some of us who are using 4 wheels, 6 wheels, whatever wheels we have. So that's one. So we gotta have at least 50-50 on that one. That's one. 2. You guys do a better job than most of the parks that I've seen in Los Angeles, because I was doing a little bit of research study for my organization, CalLife, and most of the parks are not as accessible as they should be. Not like this. This is exactly what you should be showing an example to the city and saying, and going over to Mayor Bass and saying, this is the park that LA needs. So if you're going to have to copy from us, too. And also, 3, I'd like to see also sports for people with disabilities. The only reason why I say that is because Burbank already has a couple of sporting events that they've already used over at the Cambridge Park. I get emails from those guys too. So not just from Glendale, but also from Burbank, because I used to live in Burbank for a while, then came back to Glendale, and you know, I like both cities. But anyway, the point is, the more attraction into this park, it will be important, especially because, you know, we do have 2 big events. The World Cup coming up in June, July, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to do a little bit of soccer, watching their favorite sporting teams play, and at the same time play around here. And of course, like I mentioned, going back to wheelchair sports, they do have an association for wheelchair soccer with big old balls in these wheelchairs and all, or even wheelchair hockey, or whatever the case is. Anyway, the point is, I'd like to see more wheelchair sports in this arena. I'm asking the mayor and all. The last thing is, regarding the Joanne's Fabric area, I wouldn't build a park there. I mean, maybe we need more apartments in that area, but not that. We got a lot of parks, and those parks really need major upgrades, all the way from Majan to Verdugo to south part of LA. I mean, Glendale. I mean, those are the ones that really need more attention to. And of course, Mr. Mayor, as usual, that's my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you in person finally.
Yes, nice to see you. We've only heard a voice before, so it's great.
Next one is Rami.
Hi, everybody, council, public. Yeah, this is project I was opposed from the beginning. This is a $25 million project. And yet we have people that are unhoused. They're being at the verge of being unhoused. Their Section 8 vouchers are being taken away, going to be taken away at the end of this year. And then you spend $25 million on that project. Well, I was opposed to this project from the beginning. That set aside, I recently visited this park, and I used to live like half a mile away from this park, and I often visit this park. And there was a piece of architecture there in that park that you failed to sustain it. It is not there anymore. It was a nice arcade. It was a nice pass-through that people would sit underneath and enjoy the shade of that nice arcade. It was a wooden arcade, and very nice. And you tore it down. And it's a pity for that. It's a pity that you did that. It was a piece of nice wooden architecture there. Even you didn't take sustainability aspect of this project. At least a piece of it, to sustain a piece of that architecture was there. Yeah, I really don't want to see a project in this caliber. It's big, it's a lot of money, where people are, those Section 8, emergency Section 8 vouchers are being taken away from the people that are at the verge of being homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there a late card submitted?
There was one late card submitted.
Let's call that late card.
Mike Mohill?
Oh, Mike.
Good evening, council members and Glendale residents. My name is Mike Mohill. You get to see my face tonight, not the back of my head. I remember playing at Fremont Park when it was free, back in the 60s and the 70s. It was free. Let me say the word free. What happened that we now have to pay for everything? Of course, there's the expression called there's no free lunch. But isn't tennis and sports, isn't that for the youth, to keep them young and vital and healthy? Why do you make being healthy expensive? You tell everybody don't drink soda pop, don't smoke, eat healthy. But God forbid, having a recreational place is going to cost you money. Why should it? It should be free. Free. No, this is not a golf course that you have to maintain the greens. This is cement. You don't have to mow it, water it, and fertilize it. Just sweep it once in a while. Thank you.
Mr. Mohill, the only things that haven't changed in price are Arizona iced tea and a hot dog at Costco. I remember when a comic book was 25 cents and now it's $5. So that's your answer. Unfortunately, the price of everything has gone up.
I remember.
We can have a conversation afterwards, but
It's real quick.
I think your point about making activities for the youth, for them to be healthy, is one well taken, something definitely we should consider. There is definitely a decline in sports activity because now all sports cost money. I remember when school sports were free, and the most you had to do was sell some magazines to raise money for your shoulder pads or uniform. Now everything costs money. It's expensive being a parent and raising a kid. But if we can do stuff, and I think we do have programs where we allow the kids in the public school to participate in organized sports, we should try and do more of it if we can. Thank you.
And I know you wanted to respond, but Mr. Kasakian has promised after the meeting he's going to speak with you.
I will. Absolutely.
We didn't mean to tear the microphone back away from you, but you got it, Mr. Mohill. Mr. Galanyan, let's go to the next presentation.
Mayor Najarian, members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is titled E-Bike Safety Presentation. And this issue that we're grappling with, as you noted, as you saw in Mr. Bulanikian's presentation, we have challenges with e-bikes and e-motorcycles, not only at this park, and other parks, and throughout the city, and quite frankly, throughout the entire state. So with that, I'm going to invite Lieutenant Pete Robinson come to the podium for this presentation. Lieutenant Robinson is our Traffic Bureau Commander in charge of all traffic enforcement in the city of Glendale.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. Where's my clicker? There we go. All right. Perfect. All right, so I'm here tonight to talk with you all about e-bikes and e-motorcycles. And kind of the primary reason that we're here is to talk about the difference. I think sometimes there's confusion about what an e-bike is. Closer? Sure. I'm used to moving when I talk. This is hard for me to stand still, so I apologize for me shifting. To talk about the difference between e-bikes, e-motorcycles, e-scooters. A lot of these devices kind of get gathered under the same group, and they're different things. So we're going to talk about the differences between them, some of the laws that are changing, and some of the options we have, so you know what to expect if you report it to the police. Okay. We're going to talk about e-bicycles first. There's 3 classes of e-bikes, Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3, and we'll get into that a little more. E-motorcycles, which are most of the reason we're here tonight and most of the problems we're having in Glendale. We'll talk about some of the common brands and then the concept of a standard e-bike or e-motorcycle and an unlocked e-motorcycle. And then we'll also talk about e-scooters a little bit and about motorized bicycles, mostly because it does apply to the e-bike conversation a bit. So e-bicycles first. An e-bicycle, for all intents and purposes, is a bicycle. It has an electric motor attached to it, but it has pedals that function like a bicycle. It's the biggest difference. We have 3 classes of e-bicycles in California. A Class 1 is what's called a pedal assist. When you pedal, the motor kicks in and helps propel the bicycle forward. It has a top speed of 20 miles per hour. A Class 2 is very similar to a Class 1, except it's throttle assist. So when you pedal, the bike functions like normal, but there's a thumb throttle on the handlebars where you can propel the bicycle forward using the throttle. It also has a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour. And then you have a Class 3. And a Class 3 is a pedal assist like a Class 1, but the maximum speed is 28 miles per hour, and it has a speedometer, so you can keep track of how fast you're going. So this is an example of one of the e-bikes for sale on the internet. It's about $1,000. And the reason I use this is because at the top there, if you can see it, the manufacturer makes models that go up to 36 miles per hour. So even though this is manufactured and sold as an e-bike, in California, an e-bike tops out at 28 miles per hour. So in California, the models that go above 28 miles per hour would not qualify as e-bikes anymore, and the laws change a little bit. So just because they sell it a certain way, it's important for us to be educated as consumers to know what we're buying and what's legal where we live. The laws for e-bikes are pretty simple because as far as the vehicle code's concerned, they're bicycles. And a lot of the laws are the same. So helmets are required if you're under 18, except for a Class 3 because of the speed. Everybody has to wear a helmet. They're okay for all ages, again, except for Class 3 because of the speed. They have to be 16 plus. We get a lot of calls about people riding e-bicycles on sidewalks in residential neighborhoods. It's not against the law. So our municipal code says you can't ride it on the sidewalk in a business district, but residential areas are exempt as long as they're riding safely. And then I added this in there, they're not towed like vehicles. If for some reason the police department, as a result of one of these calls, has to take an e-bike, it's booked like property. It's not towed away and taken to a tow yard because it's not a vehicle. E-motorcycles. So this is most of our calls. And this is something I want to impress on parents and anybody who's watching as far as what you buy your kids and let your kids ride. Because this responsibility is shared by us and by the parents of the kids that we're stopping. An e-motorcycle is basically an electric dirt bike. Okay? It has no functional pedals. It may have pegs to put your feet on, but it doesn't have pedals like a bicycle. It may have a VIN number like a vehicle or a serial number. There's multiple popular makes we talked about. The Sur-On Light Bee, that's a picture up on the top right, $3,600. From the factory, it'll go 43 miles per hour. This is my favorite right now. The Tutio Soleil is less than $1,300. It's recommended for riders under 4 feet, so you can imagine the age of the kids that are riding them. And they don't advertise the maximum speed, but they advertise it as having, quote, breathtaking acceleration, because that's what you want for your 14-year-old, breathtaking acceleration. We get those a lot lately. Some models can be unlocked to go faster than 80 miles per hour. And when I say unlocked, so the top right model, the Light Bee, comes from the factory going 43 miles per hour. It has a brown wire on it, and if you cut the brown wire, all it does is remove the speed limiter, and now it'll go 55 miles per hour. And they advertise how to do that. But they tell you not to. So there's a brown wire. Whatever you do, don't cut that because it's going to go way too fast. And every kid does. This is another common model right now of e-motorcycles, an E-Ride Pro SS2. It's $4,600. We stopped the kid on one of these 2 weeks ago. From the factory, it'll go 60 miles an hour. He is 13 years old. E-moto laws than I put currently because the laws are constantly changing. They changed again this year. But as it stands, it is a vehicle. It is not a bicycle. It requires a driver's license. It requires a motorcycle endorsement. It requires registration and lighting equipment and mirrors and all the things that a motorcycle would. It's illegal on public streets and sidewalks per the vehicle code. It's illegal on city property and in parks per the municipal code. It may be impounded for registration. We used to impound these for being unregistered. The problem with that is there's a legal loophole with the DMV. They can't be registered. So if we impound them for being unregistered and they can't be registered, people never get them back. And while that solves the problem, it's also bad practice to punish people by not giving them an avenue to get their things back. So that's kind of gone by the wayside. They can be impounded for reckless driving or evading in certain situations. There is a legal loophole here also. The owner can secure the release of a vehicle that's been towed for reckless driving. So if your 14-year-old rides recklessly or runs from the police and the bike gets impounded, you can come to the police station the same day and get it back and then return it to your kid like people are doing. This year, they gave us another option, so it's new January 1st of this year. We can impound it for 48 hours, but that means that 48 hours later, you get it back with no requirements. We take it for 2 days and then return it, and people give them back to their kids again. We'll touch real briefly on e-scooters and motorized bicycles. It's not something we have a huge issue with, but I know we've had some calls about it, so we'll talk about, I see you, sir, I know. I know this is your jam. E-scooters, so briefly what an e-scooter is. It may have a floorboard or a seat. It may be gas or electric. There's a stand-up or a sit-down model there. The big issue is they have to be ridden on bike lanes or on the road. You can't legally ride them on a sidewalk, and that's the issue we have, is them being ridden on sidewalks. They do require a driver's license or a learner's permit. It's a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit, and you have to have a helmet if you're under 18. Those are the big ones. Mopeds and motorized bicycles, this is not a big issue for us. We don't have roving gangs of guys on Vespas that are causing problems. But I bring it up because if you get in one of those situations where you buy an e-bike that goes 35 miles per hour, it may become classified as a motorized bicycle. And then you run into situations where you need a driver's license and possibly a motorcycle endorsement. The law has not caught up with everything that there is, so it's hard right now sometimes to make sense of what we can and can't do. I was asked to give a recent example about some of the ways that we enforce these things. So I will tell you that in addition to presentations put on to high schools, we are working on a public service announcement through GTV6. My guys right now are working on a hands-on e-bicycle safety course. We expect some kids to show up on e-motos, and it's good for a conversation with the parents about the fact that that doesn't work, but to kind of help with some hands-on experience to help kids ride safer. But this is a good example, a very recent example. So 2 weeks ago today, January 6th, we got a call at Dunsmore Park, and the caller reported, quote, 6 e-bikes ripping up the grass. They were not e-bikes, all of them were e-motorcycles. They reported reckless driving, speeding, stop signs on the surrounding streets. So I had motor officers respond. We were assisted by patrol, and for those of you who live in Glendale, the helicopter was up, which is an amazing tool for us. So long story short, we detained all 6 kids. 4 of them stopped and were very cooperative. 2 of them ran, going 50 miles an hour plus, through La Crescenta into La Cañada, running stop signs, and eventually hid themselves and their e-motorcycles in a bush. Those kids were both arrested for reckless driving. All 6 e-motos were impounded. All of them were juveniles. All of them were 14 or 15 years old. One of the 14-year-olds, this is the 3rd time we've impounded his e-motorcycle. And his mom came to the scene, and she was very apologetic, and I guarantee he's already got it back. And it hasn't been an issue we've had to address yet, but I have to ask the question out loud. If your 14-year-old is riding an e-moto with no driver's license and no registration and no insurance and causes a collision or property damage or, God forbid, hits a pedestrian, where does the liability go? Especially if the e-moto has been taken away and you've returned it. And we haven't had to answer that question yet, but I can probably tell you what the answer is going to lean toward. So,
And do they even, I'm assuming they don't even wear helmets. I mean, you say no insurance, no this, no that, but I don't think safety is their primary concern when they're on these bikes either.
So most of the kids do have helmets. Some of the kids wear bicycle helmets.
Okay.
Which, a bicycle helmet, if you fall off one of these things going 50 miles an hour, everybody's going to have a real bad day. That picture is a 2TO Celia, which is one of the ones I showed you earlier. It was one of the bikes involved in this, being ridden by a 15-year-old. And that's two Sur-on Light Bs, both of which were unlocked, both of which will do 53, 54 miles an hour, going on the back of a flatbed heading off to Mid-Valley Tow. And that is the contact information for the Traffic Bureau. I'm the lieutenant. My sergeants are Ryan Gunn and Mark Tarzia. Our phone number is up there. You're welcome to call. Somebody will answer the phone. Every traffic complaint gets put into a file. It gets distributed to one of our people, and somebody works them. So you're welcome to call us. That's what we're here for.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Councilmember Asaturian.
I see our interim police chief, William, here. We had also talked about the education piece and multi-language and opportunity for outreach for that. Do you guys have a timeline on when you're planning to roll that out? I think this would be a good time to notify the community.
Just for the PSA.
And I think it's going to take all of us to help spread the word on this. So.
Next week, GT6. So we're looking at hopefully next week. So the script has been approved, and right now our social media liaison is working with GTV6, and we're hoping to start that next week.
Okay. And if any of you are also part of an organization, I would encourage that we partner with our police department in helping spread the word on this. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Garpetian.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I know we had an incident today. There was an e-bike or e-motorcycle that was on fire in South Glendale. And I saw it was on the sidewalk. I don't know if it was on the street. They put out the fire and put it on the sidewalk or vice versa. But it's very dangerous, and I'm shocked that you can't ride your scooter, which is much smaller, on the sidewalk. Not that I'm advocating for it, but you can ride your e-bike or on the sidewalk, because the bicycles are much larger than e-scooters. And the other thing is, some of the incidents we had, our former police chief Carl Pavlidis was hit by I don't know, it was a large e-bike or motorbike.
It was an e-bike, sir.
It was an e-bike, and he broke his shoulder and arm and everything, and he was in cast for a long time. And one last question is, some of these motorcycles that they go over 55 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, can they get on the freeway?
They're not
Those
street
bikes?
legal, so they can't be ridden anywhere. So the e-motorcycles are designed to be registered as off-highway vehicles. So the DMV would give you potentially a red sticker or a green sticker to ride them on private property or on public lands. They're not legal on any public street or freeway.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Brotman.
Quick question about the bikes where people cut that brown wire.
Sir.
So when you impound one of those, can they get that back? Or is that, I understood that was an illegal item that they can't even legally possess?
So the problem we have is that it's not legal to begin with on public streets. So on private property, you can do whatever you want with it, but because it's already not legal, right now they can go to the DMV and start the temporary registration process to make it an off-highway vehicle and use that as a way to get the vehicle out of impound. But just the cutting of the wire is not giving us any, it's not giving us any way to hold the vehicle for longer.
I see. Wow. And I do know that, I think it was more than a year ago, but there was a student from Hoover.
Yes, sir.
Who was killed on one of those e-motors, riding not in the city of Glendale. I think he was in the city of LA. I think he was on a bike path. He hit a pedestrian.
Yes, sir.
What was it? Riverwalk.
Yes.
Hit a pedestrian, and he was killed, a high school student. And I believe shortly after, probably a month or two later, there was another student who was severely injured. He had some brain trauma. I hope he's doing okay now. But this is extremely serious, and I don't understand why any parent would ever buy this for their kids. But I know they do. You see them all over.
Sure.
I just the other day saw a group of them in Verdugo Park, near where I live, and I would like to see us make sure that our parks people, if they're seeing this in the parks, are reporting this to PD so that we can jump on those situations.
And we do. We take it seriously, and we've encouraged everyone to call, and when the calls come out, we do respond.
Okay. Hopefully the park staff knows to look for this. Okay, thanks.
Mayor, one last question. Are there plans to coordinate with GUSD on the education piece on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. By the way, Mr. Brotman, the child that passed away was my next-door neighbor's kid, and they've actually left the bike right where my entrance to my door is, so I see it every day. I walk in and walk out of my house, and I can't, you know, it's a very saddened truth, and to see more kids, even in my own building, continue to ride together is just, it's just wild.
And they're marketing them for kids. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there for kids, you know.
So
that's
the
where they're
2TO
pushing
says
it
riders should be under 4 feet.
out. Yeah, unbelievable.
I saw, I'm going to call them a gang, a little mini motorcycle gang, maybe the same ones that Mr. Brotman was referring to, tearing up my street, heading towards the, I guess we call them the Sunshine Trails. There's a hiking trail through the Verdugos. Are they allowed? Are there any special rules that permit them on those trails, seeing as it's off-road, versus the rules that you gave us, which are on city streets and sidewalks?
There's an argument depending on where they are, if they have a red sticker or a green sticker and it's registered with the DMV. So the way you get your car registered every year, the regular way, you can register an off-highway vehicle, and it's now permitted to be operated on what's called public lands. If it's city property, the answer is no. If it's public lands, the answer is probably yes, as long as it's registered.
In your opinion and your experience and training and seeing the incidents that have occurred and that could occur, would you recommend that council take steps to ban certain types of these bikes to the extent we're permitted under state law supremacy?
Absolutely.
Do you have someone on, can you, well, Mr. Galanian, we have to go through the city attorney. I think some of my colleagues have expressed some interest in looking into what steps we can take to be more strict.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't mean to jump over the chief or the city manager, but I think, and we'll hear from the public as well, it's certainly a concern that we have. And let me ask you about enforcement. How does this rank? You know, we throw a lot of things at the patrol division. How does this rank in terms of vehicle speeding, in terms of all the other things that you do? Is it high because it involves children many times, greater risk of injury, or is it lower down because, can you comment on that?
I can't. It's high for a number of reasons, because it involves children, but it also involves inexperienced, immature drivers on motorcycles sharing roads with other people. It's dangerous to them and everybody around them. So it definitely is high on the list of priorities when we get calls about it, when calls come out. The call at Dunsmore Park, I want to say we had 5 or 6 officers there in a very short period of time, fast enough to detain all 6 kids trying to leave the area. So it is something we do take seriously.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Lieutenant. And I'm not sure we can take any firm action. We can't place anything on the agenda today, but let's all remind ourselves that this is something we want to bring up when we get a chance at the next regular meeting.
And if I could, a question that I hope city attorney can answer when we do discuss this is whether we can ban the sale of them, but can we ban the possession of them if they're purchased outside of Glendale? Because I know that's an issue with some things.
It's something we'll take a look at when it comes back.
Okay. Okay. That was eerie music ringing through the hall. Mr. City Clerk, will you please call the speakers?
Mayor and council members, I do have 6 cards for this item. The first one is Tony Passarella.
This is the best meeting that you've been to, I bet, Mr. Passarella.
With all due respect to the officer that just presented,
But Mr. Passarella, make sure you
I'm
get
going
in
to
the
read my
microphone.
prepared statements, but I'm glad to know that you're ahead of me on this, but unbeknownst to me, I didn't know. Okay, good evening, Tony Passarella. I'm here tonight to raise an urgent citywide public safety and quality of life issue involving illegal scooter and e-bike riding by underage minors throughout Glendale. The problem is very visible at Fremont Park, which just underwent $27 million renovation, but is not limited to one park. It's happening across Glendale in parks, on sidewalks, in pedestrian areas. Just yesterday, in visiting with some friends, I witnessed a pair of underage children riding e-scooters right out by the 5-year-old place, recklessly, and they were tandem riding, illegal. This is becoming a pattern, and someone is going to get seriously injured in the city if the city doesn't act. Under California Vehicle Code 21235, electric scooter riders must be at least 16 years of age, possess a valid driver's license. We already went through that, so I won't read any more of that. Yet enforcement is inconsistent. Park staff is being ignored. Many of these riders are underage, reckless, openly defiant. Parents are either unaware of the law or choosing to ignore it. This places pedestrians, children, and seniors at risk and exposes the city of Glendale to unnecessary liability. I respectfully request council to take the following citywide actions. Adopt a Glendale ordinance that clearly restricts electric scooters and electric bikes in pedestrian-heavy areas, parks, and sidewalks with clear penalties. Move from compliant-based enforcement to visible enforcement, including periodic patrols by Glendale Police. Launch a citywide education campaign, not just signage in parks, in partnership with Glendale, thank you, with Glendale Unified School District, to educate students, parents on the law, age restrictions, and safety risks. Install clear signage citywide, especially in parks and pedestrian zones, stating that underage e-scooters and e-bike riding is illegal. This issue is about safety, accountability, and preserving public spaces for their intended use. We should not wait for a child to be seriously injured before acting. The law already exists. What is missing is consistent enforcement, and public education is a real big one. So I urge the city to treat this as an urgent citywide safety matter that it is.
Thank you.
Next is Mike Mohill.
You want-
I'm not, I'll wait.
Council members of the audience, my name is Mike Mohill. First, I'd like to thank the City Council members for raising these questions about bicycles and scooters. And Tony Passarella, your effort also. You know, I've talked about bicycles and scooters for years, and I'm saying, first of all, why don't we have a license to put your bicycle on the city street? First question, a license. And you have to pass a law, a test, that you know the rules of the road. And you have to pay a fee like about $50. Your parents should know that you're spending their money, maybe even $100. Make it hurt them so they'll become responsible. Because right now, parents don't give a damn. They allow their kids to go on the street unsupervised. And they buy their kids these $1,000 bicycles. When I was a kid, I had a couple $100 bike. And I had to have a license from the city of Glendale. I think it's time, if the city can finally do something to enforce this, because kids are being, not only is the kids, it's the parents, the people who drive in the cars. It's called dodgeball when you see these motorcycles and scooters. To me, they're all the same. They're all dangerous. They need to take a lesson. You know, when you drive a car, you go to the motor vehicle and you spend 2 hours learning how to read the rules and all that kind of good stuff, and you pay money. Same thing should be for a bicycle, a scooter, you name it all. That way the parents are knowing what's going on. Because too often, parents are irresponsible. Let me repeat myself. Parents are irresponsible. What child should be riding something that costs over $1,000? $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. It's a nice Christmas gift, isn't it? To your child's death. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Are you smart or are you just stupid? Be a parent, not an idiot. Thank you.
Wow, Mr. Mohill, thank you for those
To the
strong
little
remarks.
children in the back of the room, please don't be afraid or worried. Your parents are not idiots, at least not yours. Mr. Mohill is just very passionate about his opinion.
Thank you.
Next is Tamara Movsesian. Tamara, you have 3 minutes.
Do we have an interpreter?
We do.
Oh, great.
Ձեզանից ոչ մեկը,
None of you, good evening, yes, Tarkwanen.
ձեզանից ոչ մեկը չի ոտքով չի քայլում գլեդելու, ճիշտ է։
None of you walk in the area of Glendale on your
Չեք
feet.
նստում ոչ մեկը, ճիշտ է։
Ինչ չեմ։
Հեծադիվ չեք քշում
You
ոչ
don't ride
մեկը։
bicycle, none of you.
Մի այդ բրոտվը նոր եկած ժամանակ շոու արեց, իբրև ինքը հեծադիվով է գալիս աշխատանքի։ Բայց իր հեծադիվը որ տեսնեիք, կեղտոտ, մուխտան, այդ մարդը, ով
Someone was riding to work or wherever, he was riding a dirty bicycle
հաճույքի համար հեծադիվ ակշում,
For
ոչ
fun.
հաճույքի համար
He was riding a bicycle just for
իր
pleasure.
հեծադիվը փայլացած պետք է պահեր։
He was supposed to keep his bicycle shiny.
Այն բանվորների հեծադիվների, որ հեծադիվը
His
դնում
bicycle
են
looked like
մետրոբասի
those
վրա,
employees' bicycle. He would put it on the
ինչ-որ
bus.
տարածություն գնում են, հետո հեծադիվը հանում են բասից,
He
մետրոբասից,
would ride
որ
the bus.
հասնեն իրաց աշխատանքի տեղը։
Whenever he arrived at the destination, he would take the bicycle down off the bus.
Հիմա դուք արդեն քանի տարի է քննարկում եք
How many
հեծադիվի
times-
ճանապարհները։
You are discussing the ways and the routes of the bicycles.
Բրանդի մի կտորի համար չգիտեմ քանի հազար ծախսեցի։
One little section of Brand Boulevard, you spent I don't know how many thousands of dollars.
Սարքեցիք, հետո սխալեր քանդեցիք։ Սարքելու համար
fixed
փող
it.
աշխատեցիք,
It was-
քանդելու համար փող
It
աշխատեցիք։
was
Ինչի՞։
bad. You broke it down and then you tried to fix it again. Why? For what?
Բրոդմանը ի տարբերություն Էլենը որ իրա մենտորի ասածներն է անում, Բրոդմանը անում է ինչ-որ հանձնարարություն է կատարում Գլենդելի բնակիչների վնաս տալու համար։
Broadman,
Բոլորը դե
unlike
գիտեն։
Miss Ellen, is trying to do whatever he wants. Ինչի համար անում, բարոն Բրոդմանը գներեք։
Ինչի չեք կանխում։
Why aren't you
Ինչի
preventing?
բիլայները չեք կարգավորում։ Միլիոն անգամ ասեցի, երկու
Why aren't
համարի
you-
բիլանը անհրաժեշտ է։
Why aren't you realizing the plans that you are discussing?
Իսկ 11 համարը աշխատում է առավոտվանից մինչև 9:30,
Number
3:30-ից մինչև 4:30, ում է
is
պետք։
working
Առաջ էր պետք, հիմա
from
պետք չի։
until
Ինչի չեք
3:30?
դնում այդ հարցը քննարկման։
Why aren't you discussing the schedule of number 11?
Ինչի չեք դնում քննարկման բիլայների աշխատանքը։
Why
Ես
aren't you
հիմի ցույց
discussing
կտամ
those
ձեզ
issues?
առանձին
I
մի
will
հատ
show you
բիլայն կա,
specifically. There's a
որի
beeline
մեջ
in which
1990 թիվն է։
it's back
Այսինքն
from
այդ-
1990.
Ահա։ Այսինքն այդ բիլայնի գրանցումները չի
Meaning
ստուգվում։
The
Բարտային ինչի
registrations
համար եք պահում
regarding the beelines are not being checked.
Մենեջերի։ Հա։
Why
Իսկ
aren't
հետո
you referring
քննիրա։
that to the manager? It's interesting to me. It's
Դուք
curious.
ինչի չեք դնում այդ հարցը քննարկման։
Why aren't you putting that on the table to discuss?
Էլերը խոսացան, որ կանի։
Ellen-
Չարեր։
Ellen
Արա,
promised
սպասում
she
եմ,
would do
տեսնեմ
it.
դու
She
երբ
didn't
ես
do it.
անելու։
Ara, I'm waiting
Ես քեզ
when you're
հավատում
going to
եմ։
do it. I
Դու
believe
լոյեր
you.
ես։
You're a
Դու
lawyer.
մասնագիտություն ունես։ Դու
You're a
օրենքները
professional.
գիտես։
You know the laws.
It's not,
Շատ լավ օրենքներ գիտես։ Բայց սպասի մետրո բասերը շատ լավ
The
կարգավորում ես։
metro buses,
Շատ լավ ես կարգավորում։
you're arranging them very well. You're fixing them up
Իսկ
very well.
դիզայնները
However, the B-lines,
կանգնում է, ենթադրենք, Broadway,
for example, they stop at Broadway
Central
and
կանգառում,
Central.
ասում է, կարող եք change անեք 181-ը,
you can transfer
780-ը,
181,
603-ը, այդ բասերը
603,
չեն աշխատում։
180. Those buses are not working.
Ինչի է ասում B-line-ը, մարդկանց շփոթացում, կարող է մեկը նոր
Why
այգես
is
երկի։
B-line confusing people? Maybe someone just came to this country.
Ինչի։
Why?
Լուրջ մտածեք, 5 հոգի,
Think
մի հոգի
seriously.
չի, 2 հոգի
5 of you. It's
5
not
հոգի
one,
եք,
not
չեք
two,
կարող խելքի
not
տան,
three.
միասնական,
Can't you come to an
մի բան
agreement?
մտածեք, yeah,
Come up to
անգել
a
եք
decision.
Բրոդմանի խելքին, խոսացողի ցույց չտան,
You're listening
որ
to
գլետելի
Brockman.
բնակիչները
You're not
չտեսնեն,
listening to
ձայնը
others.
չեն ճանաչում այդ մարդկան, այդ մարդիկ շրջապատ չունեն,
Those people do not have a surrounding.
yeah, no, I don't have a question.
thank you so much.
Dekin Tamara, I'm going to say it in Armenian and then I'll translate what I say. Dekin Tamara, Mr. Hernandez, where's Mr. Hernandez? Okay, ձերը որ բարձացնում է բարոնը,
Baron Hernandez.
Հա,
Would you like
Ձեր
his position?
այդ ավտոբուսի հարցը քննարկվել է եւ հիմա այն պահն է, որ բոլորը պետք է իրենց կարծիքը հայտնեն, որ ինչ են ուզում եւ չեն ուզում։ Պարոն Հերնանդեսի ամբողջ գրասենյակը ամբողջ քաղաքից հիմա վերցնում ենք Okay, կարող ենք առանձին խոսել, մենակ քեզի ուզում եմ տեղյակ պահեմ, որ
Ստորագրություն հավաքողը
Okay, so let's,
եթե ցանկանում եք փոփոխություններ, ապա Mr. Hernandez-ը եւ պարոն Օգանեսյանն էլ կարծեմ ստեղ էր, կարող եք իրենց ձեր մտքերը հայտնել, որը հետո գալու է ժողովին, որտեղ արդեն քննարկվել է այդ հարցը։
thank you. No, you don't have to answer. You don't have to answer, but briefly, would you just...
I just said that we've already discussed the routes. Mr. Hernandez, who's our Public Works Director, as well as staff, are currently working on taking input on routes. So if anybody would like to give input on the B line, the routes needed, anything with public transportation, please connect with Mr. Hernandez in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Digin Tamara. Next speaker.
It's not up to him. It's up to you.
Venice Francios.
Next speaker, Tamara. Digin Tamara, please.
Venice
But it's up to the city
time.
council.
or Venice.
Got it?
Արա քեզանից կախված է, սրանց պետք է լոգրացու։
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Thank you, Digin Tamara. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Well,
Hi,
hello.
my name is Venice, and when I was going down the slide, there was an electric bike, and they almost got run. And I almost got run over by it, and I don't want it to happen to anyone else, because I was just going down the slide and it went past me, and I just said, watch out, and he said back meanly, watch out to me. And yeah. Hi, my name is Delilah, and me and my cousin were hanging out here, and we were playing around and running around when suddenly these people with e-bikes come really fast towards us, and if it wasn't for us moving out of the way, we would have gotten hurt or run over.
So I'm the mom of Venice, and I'm a mom of 4. And I'm often at the parks, and I don't feel safe now to have my children in the playground. I was born and raised in Glendale, and I love Glendale. But now that I have my children, I don't feel like the playgrounds are safe enough for them because of the e-bikes and the electric scooters that are passing by. I have 2 of my other kids that have almost gone T-boned by one of the e-bikes. And this has happened in Brand Park, Griffith Manor, and Fremont Park. So I feel like something has to be done, and signs are not enough. Maybe if you guys have like a security guard or a police officer on site, that will discourage these people riding the bikes. And hold on, baby. And yes, like please do something, because if not, lawsuits are gonna start coming your way if you guys are not doing anything to do this, you know? Something has to happen before. We have to prevent a death, because it's been really close. And just my heart has dropped because it's gone like, going like this, and the little kids going like that, and it's so close. And it's like, who are you gonna call at that moment? You're just paralyzed. You know, so please do something before something tragic happens. And that's why they came, because it's happened to them, and I wanted you guys to hear from their voices, from them.
Signs are not really enough because they don't really listen. They're not something that moves, it's just something that stands there and not does anything. And just like how they know that e-bikes aren't allowed even without a sign, why are they going to listen to the sign? Yeah, so basically just add to like a security guard or someone, because signs don't do anything. They just do nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. That's all.
I have a Delilah Huerta. Delilah?
That was one of Delilah spoke.
My
Thank you for coming and sharing your opinions, and I agree with them.
next one is Edwin Hagopian. Edwin?
Good evening. Thank you for the presentation, Lieutenant Robinson. And also thank you, Tony Pazzarella, for your advocacy on this topic. Dear council members, as you've seen, there is a strong push from the community to do something about these e-bikes. And I believe everyone is in support of banning them at this point. The presentation with the kids was one of the best that I've seen, and I think they it speaks volume. I do have one question for our police chief or Lieutenant Robinson. When a parent allows their child to ride these e-bikes several times and they get caught, how come there is no any charges for child endangerment? Is that an option? Thank you.
So the short answer to your question is I'm not sure yet. We are having that conversation with the DA about what that language would involve. So if we arrest your son on an e-motorcycle and we speak to you face to face and advise you how dangerous it is, what language it would take to make it so if you then return the e-motorcycle to the kid, there'd be criminal charges that would follow that. It hasn't happened yet, but it is something that we've already been talking about. So those discussions are happening. It's a fair question.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant. Any other speakers?
Mayor, no more speakers for this item.
Okay, very good. Great discussion. Mr. Golanian, the next item.
Yes, Mayor and Chair, members of City Council, the next item on the agenda is Zone 0. Chief Brooks will provide a quick update. He doesn't have a PowerPoint presentation, but just an update on what's been going on at the state level.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, city staff, and the general public. Zone 0, if you don't remember, is the first 5 feet out from the side of your residence. We've given many updates on this at council in your neighborhood at Spar Heights and at council meetings. The state has taken a hard pause Obviously, there was a lot of feedback. We talked about that, over 5,000 separate comments at different public events. The state was supposed to have that done by the end of last year. They've taken a hard pause and won't pick it back up again until probably March of this year, with it really being anticipated that nothing will happen until 2029. So the goal is really, at that point for us, will continue to be about education rather than enforcement. Again, we're still highlighting some of the things you can do. You can still remove dead and dying vegetation from near your home. If you happen to stack firewood or anything else that's combustible, we ask that you remove those things so that you can prevent some possible ember intrusion problems. But again, we don't anticipate anything further from the state until they reconvene sometime in the first quarter of this year.
Okay, any questions? Chief, whoa, hold on. Chief, are there any comments, questions? No. Chief, is the 5 feet measured from your wall of your home or the eave?
No, the wall of your home. So it'd be 5 feet out from the siding, where your siding meets the foundation of the side of the house, 5 feet out from there. There's still some current guidance that talks about eave and distance from vegetation from an eave line or a chimney. That's in our current legislation that already exists. But when they talk about zone 0, it's really where they're worried about embers getting into that area immediately around the home and catching on fire and then transferring or propagating fire onto the home.
Okay, and just so we all know, the thrust of this, the reason that this is being proposed is because they saw fire events in which homes did have protective barrier versus those that had the vegetation. That's what the thought is.
There's data on both sides. This legislation has really been in the last 8 years. It just hasn't been implemented and truly implemented across the state. There's data on both sides that says, well-hydrated vegetation or things that don't carry and sustain fire may not be an issue. If you remember in some of the presentations, that's what the crux of it was, is what vegetation could remain and be allowed within that distance without causing further problems for fire spread.
Okay. Keep us posted,
Well,
Chief.
Will do.
And also, just because we had a really wet winter, right? We had a lot of rain. That's going to mean a lot of vegetation growth, and with the hot summer, that's going to dry out. So are we going to have our army of goats coming back to Glendale?
We're anticipating that we're going to have some goat activity. Hopefully, if all goes well here in the next month, we'll do a bleat and greet at Verdugo Park. The area up above Verdugo Park will be the next area we focus on. And we're in the grant process for a very large grant that would allow us to do further mitigation efforts across the city in about 14 different locations that we'd identified if we're successful.
We're going to need a lot more goats.
Goats do a great job. I mean, you bring up a great point, right? The amount of rain that we've seen obviously brings about a very good grass crop. Grass is a big concern, although we don't think always that, but grass sustains fire and carries fire, so we still anticipate that it'll be an active fire season as we get later into the year.
Thank you, Chief.
You got it.
Thanks, Chief. Mr. Golanian. Oh, we have, sorry, public comment.
Mayor, I do have 4 cards for this item. The first one is Edwin Hagopian.
Hi. I do have a question for the chief. I believe I believe we do have a sustainability program where we subsidize windows, doors for better insulations. I've noticed that some of the options that are available, they do have plastic frames and vinyls right next to it. So if this zone 0 is supposed to take everything that allows for embers to catch fire, I have a question for the council members or the city manager. Is there an opportunity where we can eliminate plastic vinyls or anything, or promote fire-resistant options when we are providing subsidies for those changes? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would highly recommend that questions such as the ones that Mr. Hagopian has, that all the departments representative will stay on after the meeting for the sake of efficiency, so we don't have this back and forth. We'll be more than willing to respond to your questions.
Zone 0.
Mr. Golanian, could we, at the end of the meeting, before we adjourn, identify the different departments for folks to know who they should be speaking to?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Next is Mike Mohill. Mike, you have 3 minutes.
Evening, council members. My name is Mike Mohill. I believe the state of California has done an overreach when this Zone 0 is concerned. The environmentalists, they keep making it more and more expensive for the middle class to live. You take away greenery around a home, and the heat around that house goes up in the summer months. Now the air conditioning goes up. So now we're going to be paying more money on electricity. And that, you know, goes up and up every year. You've all seen your electric bill, haven't you? Thank you, the state of California. The city of Glendale is not enforcing this. This is from the state of California. We have politicians who don't listen to the people. That's the problem. We've had a woman here, I forgot her name, but she's a landscape architect, and she came before the city council a couple of weeks ago, and she said the worst idea I've ever heard, basically, taking vegetation away from around one's home. You need green. You don't want, what do you want? Even cactus? Is that considered bad also? How ugly would a home be without foundation plants? You tell me. Or trees. We have insurance for a reason. And we have a fire department for a reason. And we pay money for a fire department and insurance. Now, some insurance company didn't like to be stuck with the bill. But you know what? The responsibility of these last two fires was the politicians and the environmentalists. Remember, we didn't have any water in the reservoirs? Whose fault was that? Was that the homeowner's fault? Was that the insurance company's fault? Or was it a politician's fault? People, you get the government, you so vote for it. And when you vote, you know who you're voting for. Ask the question, do you care more about me or your special interest? Thank you.
Next is Patrick Mashi. Patrick?
Mayor Najarian and members of City Council, Patrick Massey. Zone 0 was actually authored by Laura Friedman in 2020 as part of AB 3074. And she pushed for it. There were 4 other co-authors or 5 other co-authors with the thing, but she pushed for this idea without really doing the homework to understand the negative environmental impact of what Zone 0 really does. So, first and foremost, thank you to the state, the Forestry Board, for delaying this so they can study and undo some of the damage in that bill. Hopefully, they will come up with a compromise to allow vegetation that's green and fully thriving to stay put. That's what we're hoping for. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to actually ask all 5 city council members, what is Plan B? Have you guys thought about what you're going to do in case the state comes down and says, no, you got to cut everything within 5 feet? Are you guys in discussion with other cities that are now doing proactive planning to combat this crazy idea? Thank you very much.
Next is Alan Dish. Alan, you have 3 minutes. Come on up.
Thank you, City Council, City Staff. Alan Dish, my name. I'm 29 years old. I am here because I'm concerned about the trees which have already been removed in my neighborhood of North Brand. Around 50 trees over the last year have already, so they're gone. So my hope would be they could be maybe replanted. I forget about the birds, the squirrels. I think they are good for ourselves, for shelter, shade. They give us Defense, yes, if they are maintained well against the fires. And there was a PBS documentary recently that said there was a house in Altadena which probably survived because they had a nice green bush. So 50 trees in my neighborhood. What worries me, yes, is the lack of coordination between the agencies. Where was the urban forestry department? Where was, I don't know, activists? Of course, I was there in the morning at 8 a.m., but I couldn't do it much. What about the wealthier areas? Did any trees fall recently in La Cañada? Also, the Descanso Gardens is in this high fire risk zone. Forest Lawn is. I don't know if they had any trees removed, but you see my point. I would like if we can have a much more responsible way of, yes, removing the trees if we need to, but also replacing them. Like, I'm not saying do South Pasadena, like for every tree they remove, you have to replant 7, I think. But we can at least have tree replacement, no? Mr. Mayor, you were very green, ecologically minded. You helped stop the 710 freeway expansion. So let's see if we can, and the other council members too, I mean, not, but let's see if we can keep that sign, Tree City USA actual. Thank you.
Mayor, that was the last card.
Thank you. Mr. Golanian, next item, please.
Question, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Garbetjan.
I have a question from our chief. So net zero is basically 5 feet around the house, remove all the vegetations and the trees or what have you, right? I mean, that's what we've been talking
But in essence, if you remember when we made the presentations, at that point, the Board of Forestry was looking at several options. What could remain in that zone?
Okay.
They had the 3 different options.
My question is there any talk about the homes that they're older and they have wood shingles and they have wood sidings and they have these eaves that they come out and they're all wood and that's what catches fire first and the fire gets into your attic and you're done because that's the vents on that eaves catch fire first. Is there a talk about those items too? Because if you clear your brush around the house and your house is a wood siding or a wood shingle, what's the point? Because when there's fire, it's going to catch fire first versus your neighbor's house.
All great conversations. I mean, obviously, on our website, we have a lot of information on home hardening. We do go out and meet with residents and engage them regularly on home hardening. That talks about putting mesh over your vents and different places of intrusion. We'll come out and do an evaluation on your property to identify things that may be of a risk. We've had legislation in place in the city of Glendale for a long time on wood shake roofs. My recollection is there may be only 1 or 2 properties left that are grandfathered into that, and everyone else is in compliance outside of that. Those things are obviously issues. But again, to get the wood siding on fire, the concern is if you have dead or dying vegetation that would carry fire to catch that siding on. But again, all those things are a part of this review process. I will say the Board of Forestry taking a hard pause is a good sign that they're receiving and hearing that feedback and putting a little bit of a slowdown on it to make sure that they're evaluating and that and making decisions appropriately.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Golanian.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, the last but certainly not least item on the agenda is an update on 3 public works projects in and around this neighborhood. And our senior civil engineer, Victoria Pakanyan, is going to make the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Najarian, council members, and everyone joining us this evening. As the city manager mentioned, my name is Victoria Pakanyan. I'm the senior civil engineer here at our city's Public Works Department. And I am here today to present a few of our upcoming capital improvement projects in and around this neighborhood on the west side of our beautiful city of Glendale. So I'll be covering a little bit about project scope, about construction timelines, as well as some community outreach information for a few of our upcoming projects. So just to overview, we have 3 upcoming projects in this area of Glendale. First is the West Glendale ADA curb ramp installation and sidewalk repair program, phase 2. Next is the West Glendale Pavement Management Program Implementation Project, Phase 1, and finally, it's the San Fernando Road Beautification Project, Phase 2. And I'll be covering a little bit more details for each of the projects. So first, project scope. The West Glendale ADA project it really aims to improve accessibility in the West Glendale area. It includes improvements like sidewalk repairs, ADA curb ramp installations, curb gutter replacements, as well as driveway and alley improvements. It's geared toward pedestrians as well as with, people with mobility challenges. The West Glendale PMP Phase 1 project really aims to rehabilitate our roadways. It will have improvements such as asphalt pavement resurfacing, sewer improvements, some skewed intersection realignments, as well as renewed street markings and striping. Finally, the San Fernando Road Beautification Project Phase 2. It's a little bit more robust project. It's the Phase 2 of the beautification of San Fernando Road. The first phase was completed last year, and it aims to improve pedestrian as well as roadway safety improvements, traffic signal modification, landscaping improvements, as well as beautifying the corridor with creative crosswalks and landscaping. As the next two slides, I'll cover the project locations, and I know this is kind of difficult to see, it's kind of small, so there are some hard copies with larger street names available in the back if you guys are interested. So this slide covers the first two projects. On the left side, you could see is the West Glendale ADA Phase 2 improvement project. Like the name suggests, it's the continuation from Phase 1, which included the streets between San Fernando Road and Glen Oaks, not highlighted in blue. So Phase 2 will be addressing the rest of the streets that are highlighted in blue. As for the West Glendale PMP project on the right, you see, so again, all the streets highlighted in red are incorporated as part of the project. As for the San Fernando Road Beautification Project, the first phase of the project addressed the corridor from Elk Street, and it stopped at Grandview Avenue. So this phase will be picking it up from Grandview Avenue and will be taking it all the way to the city limits that we share with City of Burbank. So some of the improvements that you could see is highlighted on there, or maybe it's a little bit difficult to see, but it's also available on our website. And there'll be some bus stop improvements, some enhanced high visibility crosswalk improvements, some curb extensions, as well as some landscaping improvements. As for the construction schedule, the first project that will go into construction is the West Glendale ADA Phase 2 project. That project is currently in the bidding phase, and we anticipate to begin construction in May of 2026 with an anticipated construction end date of October. That project will be followed by the West Glendale PMP Phase 1 project with an approximate construction schedule of September 2026 to early 2027. And finally, the third project will be the San Fernando Road Phase 2 project, which we are hoping will begin early 2027 and go until summer of 2027. So project outreach is something that's very near and dear to our hearts. It's one of the most important things we do in the city. And it looks a little bit different for each of the projects, really depending on the complexity of the scope of each project. So for something complex like the San Fernando Road Beautification Project, we'll have extra steps during the design project to involve our community and business owners or residents within the area. So we'll have community open houses, community meetings, stakeholder meetings as needed, and we'll also participate in community events to get the word out, so to say. So the photo you see on the right here is the community meeting from our San Fernando Road Beautification Project Phase 2, and it took place in October of last year. So our standard outreach involves social media posts, website updates that happen continually throughout the life of the project, And more as we get closer to construction, residents in the affected areas, affected neighborhoods of the project can expect to receive director's letters informing them about the upcoming project about 1 or 2 months ahead of construction. And the contractor will be distributing door hanger notifications in the immediate construction areas a few days before start of construction. You are welcome to contact us for more details for all three of those projects. Huang Zheng of our office is the project manager for all three of them, and he's available through email or phone. Alternatively, you can reach out to Yvonne Guerra. She's our public outreach liaison. Or if you need more information, if you don't want to interact with anybody, but you want to check details online, you're welcome to check out our webpage at www.GlendalePWprojects.com. So each project has their dedicated webpage with more detailed information. That's all I had prepared for today.
Thank
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for those interesting projects. Any comments from council? Mr. Kasakian?
So one of the issues that, one of the persistent concerns for residents in these areas is the availability of parking, street parking especially. It is very difficult on some streets to find it. And on areas like San Fernando, where we have a lot of auto body shops, like these auto body shops will just leave their wrecked vehicles on the street for very long periods of time, taking up parking that could have been used by any other individuals. I'd like to know how we're going to address that, number one. Number two, a lot of these older homes that have the, I don't know what you call the architectural style, where they have the parking underneath the overhang, at least one that I know of has converted those parking spaces into living units, which I understand they're allowed to do by state law. But if someone is renting the other apartments and they're paying rent, and they're paying the rent with the expectation of a parking spot being included in that rent, and now they don't have a parking spot, should the landlord or whoever is doing that conversion not reduce the rent of the person who is in the pre-existing apartment? So that's, I know it's not in your wheelhouse, but I'm putting it out for the city manager, for the city attorney, or for anyone else. It seems grossly unfair that these people rented a unit with the expectation of being given a parking spot or having a parking spot, and now they haven't. A parking spot has value in Glendale. I know we associate value to it because when people want to rent a parking meter or they want to block it off, there's costs that they get charged, right, for the duration and what the loss is financially to the city. There should also be something of that type associated with these conversions that are taking parking away from the actual private property and pushing it onto the streets. So just something to consider as we're doing improvements, as we're considering where to paint curbs red or whatever other color. When we do it, I know that state law says like within certain feet of a stop sign, it has to be red. That was a lesson hard learned by all of us as we were addressing an issue in Adams Hill. But we should be very cognizant and aware of how we're impacting the parking of our neighbors here down in Glendale, on this part of Glendale. Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Garbetia?
Are we narrowing down any part of the drive lanes in this phase 2? Because I know on the phase 1, because of the medians that were installed, it took away some of the width of the drive lanes. And that area we have city buses, Beeline and Metro, I believe, and also delivery trucks that go in and out every day, and no way they get into that 9-foot or 10-foot lane. Are we reducing the drive lanes?
Sure, I can answer that question to the best of my knowledge. The project is in the 60% design phase, so nothing has been finalized, but we have done a traffic study to analyze the existing real estate of the roadway to see what we cannot fit in. So some of the improvements that are proposed, safety improvements that are proposed as part of the project, are some introduction of refuge islands or islands in the corridor. So while that may impact lane widths, it would be for at the intersections, not the entire corridor. So to answer your question, the entire corridor, we don't anticipate any lane reductions.
Councilmember Garpetian, you were talking about driveways or traffic lanes?
Traffic lanes.
Traffic lanes. So,
And also the project is not resulting in any loss of street parkings, right?
So
But some
again,
of these businesses, they have street parking in front of their businesses.
right. So again, the traffic study and the parking utilization study is in effect. We're working on that. There may or may not be parking impacts depending on, again, said landscaping introductions. So, but there haven't been any concrete plans as of yet.
And when we would know? When is it that, how many more months or year? I saw it starts in 27, if I'm not mistaken.
Early next year. So once the project is finalized, we will have more information. But once the studies have been finalized, then we have more information.
Got it, because I remember that La Crescenta Avenue project took 26 parking spaces, street parking spaces away, so we have to be, cognizant of that fact as well. Thank you.
Mr. Brotman.
Yeah, I just have a question. It's about a very specific part of your Phase 2 project, but in general, first let me ask you, I mean, is this still open for changes or?
For the San Fernando Road?
No, for the Phase 2.
ADA?
Well, I'll just tell you specifically. So there's a resident who is here and may come up and speak. So, she expressed, a number of concerns. One was the fact that when she talked to her neighbors around Omar Street, nobody was aware of this project. So although we do these meetings and we give opportunities for people to come, most people are working or they're feeding their kids. They don't have time to come to these things. So that's one concern, is that I don't think there's good awareness. And we might really need to do something a lot more active, like door knocking, to really get the message to some of these people. But anyway, that's a general comment. There's a skewed intersection, I think you call it a skewed intersection realignment at Omar and Grant. And the question's been raised, why do we need to do this? It's already a very calm area. Aren't we just wasting money by addressing this skewed intersection? And related to that is a need that was expressed for a pedestrian crossing, a safe pedestrian crossing across Concord, so people from that neighborhood can come here, right? And I think crossing Concord, my understanding is that it can be dangerous. So there's a request for maybe a crossing either at Burchett and Concord or at Patterson and Concord. So I guess the question is the project still at a point where we could say, we're not going to do this one, but we're going to use that money to do something different? Or is all this pretty much locked in?
That's a loaded question, but I'll try to dissect it. So for that specific intersection, I know I'm familiar with that, and we have heard from residents. I guess my answer to that is it's not a problem until it becomes a problem. So our engineering design criteria is if you have skewed intersections, if you have wide turns, you tighten them. And the reason for that is it reduces the crossing time for pedestrians, right? It increases the visibility for drivers and pedestrians, and it makes the vehicle slow down to make that turn. So it's really a safety thing. And if we say, oh, well, nothing has happened at that intersection, there have been no pedestrian incidences, that's not how we do business, so to say. We address safety concerns, whether there are currently safety concerns at this moment. So that's the short answer for that specific intersection. As for Concord, unfortunately, Concord Street was recently repaved a few years ago, so that That corridor is not part of Phase 2 or PMP project, so we don't anticipate any improvements at that specific corridor, pedestrian crossings or any traffic signal improvements, but it's something I can bring up to our traffic team to see if that's something they can address in the future.
I mean, that seems to be, there's an immediate safety issue there, and that's something that just striping a crosswalk shouldn't be a huge undertaking. So maybe that's not part of this project, but it is something to put on the radar. Because, you know, now we have a big neighborhood, they want to come and enjoy this park, and we don't want people with kids or elderly people or anybody to get hit crossing Concord.
Yes, certainly, Councilmember Brotman, as Victoria noted, that will be taken into consideration, but there are certain warrants that needs to be met as part of the study to accommodate a striped crosswalk. We can't just put them anywhere because, you know, residents would like to have these striped crosswalk adjacent to their properties or when they walk into a park or so on, but they need to meet certain standards. And
I
warrants.
understand. I just think there's a big stretch where there is no crosswalk. So I think
there will.
It seems like there is a safety issue there that we should take a close look at.
Yes, they will study it for sure.
All right, thank you. Mr.
Thank you.
City Clerk.
Mayor, I do have 6 cards for this item.
Yeah, we're done.
First one is Fernando Roldan. Fernando?
Thank you, folks. I mean, I like the phases, but I think with Madam Victoria, there may have to be a phase 3, and I'll tell you why. Because I was looking at some of the maps on the streets, and I'm very familiar with Glendale, since I lived most of my life in Glendale. With phase 2, there needs to be more routing with the B line, maybe even with Metro, because I'm seeing some streets that we don't even have buses. That's just my thinking on that. Also, even though San Fernando has improved with the beautification, not all has been improved. As an example, California and San Fernando, where of course my folks live not too far, where I still use most of the time the 94 Metro bus. When I got off that one time on California and San Fernando, issue is that I couldn't even reach the button because of my disability and all. So that still needs to be tweaked a little bit more. So a lot of the bus stops need to be improved. Especially, I also asked that for the beautification project or for the ADA project, there be more roofs on the bus stops, so we can have rain, hot weather. I mean, we need a roof. We really need a roof on not one, but all the bus stops need a roof, especially in Glendale. And we're also encouraged to work, you guys, to work with the city of Burbank on this, because that really is a major project that needs a lot. I will also ask Ms. Victoria to work with some of the independent living centers, especially because since I'm a member of the Cal Life Committee is actively living independently free in downtown, and also there is an independent living center in Van Nuys. Work with them so we can all help each other. That's just my thinking on that. Thank you.
Next is Humberto Ayala. Humberto? Humberto? Humberto, you can talk on the podium or the microphone. It's up to you.
Got my notes. So I wasn't expecting to. My name is Humberto Ayala. It's a good thing that Artie brought up the parking, because we do have a problem. I live just right on the other side of the freeway. And I have brought this up to several people, and I can't get a straight answer. I have a neighbor who he runs a business, so he buys and sells cars. So I have spoken to people that live next to him. So right now he has about 14 or 15 cars. He takes up the parking on a whole block, and it's a problem. It's a problem for us. So I don't know if there's a law or a rule or whatever, but it's kind of crazy there. You know, people are putting their trash cans out to reserve the parking, so this gentleman doesn't, you know, park there. So there's that. And then right now the presentation about the corridor there. I've driven by there, and the part that's completed is kind of dark. Are there any plans to put some lights up there so it gets lit up a little bit more? Okay, so the main thing is after COVID, they shut the gym, and I started walking for exercise and all that, and so I'm an avid walker, and I've walked up and down different streets, different routes and all that. And there are many sidewalks that are compromised. And what is the plan to get those fixed? Sometimes they just come out, you know, and they're compromised because, you know, you have trees, and then the roots, you know, bring up the pavement and all that, and it's kind of dangerous for those of us who are seniors. I have seen some seniors that are on motorized wheelchairs that they have to go out into the street, and that's kind of dangerous. So we have that. And also there are some traffic signal buttons that are compromised that don't work. Who handles that? Who handles that? How can we get them fixed? Also, there are neighbors that, I just spoke to one of the firefighters right there. There are neighbors that have overgrown hedges or shrubbery or whatever, and the sidewalk is compromised. You just can't walk right through there. Okay, and then we have the al fresco dining. A couple of years ago, the Carousel restaurant, they had tables all the way up to the bus stop, and it was very difficult to get through there. They remedied that situation, but now there's a place called Tavern on Brand. They have tables, and aside from tables, they have that.
Roberto, your time's up.
Okay, so just a couple more things. So now Bakari or Bakari.
Sir, your time is up.
Time's up.
Okay, I have two important things. Okay, so.
We have to end it. We have to
All right.
give everybody 3 minutes.
Okay, so this is very important. This is the last important thing, okay?
Sir.
They're opening.
Your time is up. I appreciate your concerns.
I'll stick around, and staff will stick around for us to hear the other two items, though.
All right, we need a speed bump over here.
Okay, thank you.
Herbert Milano.
Mayor Najarian, members of the City Council, and the public, my name is Herbert Milano. I want to tell you that my appreciation for San Fernando Road and the beautification is an excellent example of the work done by our public works. It really is, and this is not an exaggeration, this is probably the best road we have in Glendale, and the work was just simply outstanding, and my kudos to the Public Works Department and for your leadership in that regard. We need the same quality of roads everywhere, along Glendale Avenue, along Verdugo. This area has been neglected in Glendale, the pavement maintenance, for a very, very long time, a long, long time. I would like to invite you to see the conditions of Lexington between Glendale Avenue and Brand, and California, and then up and down, let's say, Louise, or even one of the worst streets in the city of Glendale, and that's Howard Street between Lexington and Duran. It looks like an alligator skin. You were to put an alligator on top of that, you won't be able to see the alligator. It is horrible. And we've been asking for this thing for years, and I personally have, because you budget nearly zero for reconstruction every year. When the budget was around 300 million and so forth, I came to speak, zero for reconstruction. Now that your budget is $1.4 billion, and still, you need $18 million a year, and in the turn of 20 years, you will have basically done all of the city of Glendale. 21 years ago, I met with Mr. Najarian when he was running for city council, and we walked together to many of the areas that had these huge potholes. This is back then, 20 years ago. And so I'd like for you to make a commitment before you leave council to finally make sure that we get $18 million a year assigned towards pavement reconstruction, not the slurry seal, pavement reconstruction. Because I know how that budget system goes, and capital improvement is like the last thing you do. And we're really sick and tired of the absolutely blighted streets. It's horrible. It's a shame. When friends come from other countries to visit me, I can't believe that I'm telling them, excuse me, but the council just doesn't pay attention to us. Please, make a commitment, assign $18 million a year before you do all the pay and the raises and all the benefits for police and fire. Before you do that, assign capital improvements. Take care of us first. Thank you.
Next is Mike Mohill. Mike? I have Kate Unger. Kate, you have 3 minutes. Come on down.
Oh, hello, good evening, members of City Council, staff, thank you very much. I am a resident of the Pelincone neighborhood, and I appreciate the opportunity to have you come to speak to issues that are in my neighborhood. I really appreciate Councilmember Kasakian asking about how many people here are from the neighborhood. Not enough. It's very hard for people to know about what's going on in the city. And I wanted to talk about these projects because I think the city is doing a really good job of doing capital improvement projects, and we appreciate the changes. I think the San Fernando Road Beautification Project has been really a benefit to the neighborhood. And I appreciate staff. I find them very responsive to questions, and I appreciate that as well, and very much appreciate their efforts and care about outreach to our residents. I would like to say for the outreach plan that was presented, I really think that the door hangers, director's letters to people who are going to be most directly impacted really need to go out far earlier before the project has been cemented in place, so that people who do not have they're not on the email list, they're not paying attention to council, that they have the opportunity to understand something that's going to directly impact them very early on in the process before the decisions are baked in. It's really important to reach out to people early on. Thank you very much.
Patrick Massey. Patrick, you got 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Mayor Najarian and members of City Council, I wasn't going to speak on this issue until I saw Pelincone Avenue in the map that was shown by our engineers back there. Mr. Hernandez, I never received any response back from you concerning Pelincone Avenue, even though more than 88% of the residents said no to your plans of dedicated bike lane and bump outs. So tonight, hopefully you can give us an update where you stand on Pelincone Avenue. Mr. Kasakian, you're absolutely correct. Parking is a major issue, and those bump outs that Mr. Hernandez has in his plans, which I'm sure some of you have reviewed, right? You've seen those plans, are taking away close to 15 parking spaces in our neighborhood, which again, we came up and we said no. By the way, that picture shows about 7 Pelincone residents that are in that picture. There were 11 or 12 that day during that meeting, which was never advertised. I had to go and put flyers that I created on every door for people to show up. So tonight, we need some answers in terms of where the city stands, Mr. Hernandez, because again, we turned in those rejection signatures saying we don't want those things that you have planned for us, but I've never heard back from you. So I know it's the holiday season. Oh, by the way, Mr. Zhang, one of your engineers, said if we collect 75% signatures from our street, then there will be reconsideration. Well, we have 88%. So that email, by the way, I will reply to you tonight so you can see what Mr. Zhang is saying in that email. I'm sure it will be contradicted again by Mr. Oganesian, who was going to come back and say, well, no, ignore that email. He didn't know what he was talking about. Because if you remember, Mr. Zhang actually withdrew the dedicated bike lanes and the bump outs only for Mr. Oganessian to come back and say, ignore that. We never agreed to this. So again, we need some answers. Again, my focus is on Planconia Avenue. And again, San Fernando Road looks beautiful. By the way, that first median on San Fernando Road and Planconia was the result of the resilient Planconia Avenue folks and the Planconia States Association at the time, that through CPUC and the case that we had against the city, we forced you guys to put that median in there because of the crossing. So that beautification started about 15 to 16 years ago, Mr. Hernandez. Maybe you were not with the city at the time. But that whole thing started back then, and we did ask the city to continue with more medians and with more trees along San Fernando Road, and again, the city did a great job. Since the police chief is here today, I know this is not something that you decide on, but please, your vehicles should only go to auto body shops that have parking spaces. Thank you.
Mayor and council members, that was the last card.
Thank you. Council, that concludes the items set for discussion. Would anyone like to make a final?
Just thank everyone for coming. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Oh, there's one card apparently. Ooh, does Brooks have a card?
Thank you for coming. And then, Mr. Galanian, you'll introduce the staff?
Wait, I think that there may be a, I think Ms. Brooks.
Apparently, there was a
Is
speaker
there anyone
card
who
turned
submitted
in.
a card besides Ms. Brooks?
Mayor, it looks like there was a card put in, and we're going to look for it.
Either way, let's just hear her.
Ms. Brooks, go ahead and speak, please.
She did.
Aram, we're gonna start her.
No, I did. She knows I did. Yeah, I want to thank the council members who were not constantly on their phones tonight, because I saw that you weren't on your phones when the children were speaking. So I want to thank the ones who are not on their phones. I appreciate that. I think we should all appreciate that. About those particular projects, I want to really talk about them in the context of what this meeting is about, which is more just informational, because you can't engage. We can't give you information that's really going to change anything, because I'm not even sure how you process the feedback you just got, either at this meeting or at any Senate Council meeting. I mean, how do you process what people have to say? Do you process it in terms of they're not in the minutes that people can read on the website, so you don't know what people have said unless you're watching a link to this meeting, let's say, because it hasn't been live streamed. So that's my concern. If you have something like this, we could take a lesson from this. Number one, you're engaging within the community. So I think that's very important. Number two, it's a much shorter meeting, right? You only have a certain number of things on the agenda. We usually go to a meeting and it could go on for 4 or 5 hours, and nobody wants to go to those things. They really don't. I mean, maybe 5 people want to sit through for 5 hours because there are so many items on the agenda. Which would bring me to say that isn't it better to have council meetings that are more like this, that are very, very laser focused, that probably would get more engagement from the community, and that you split up those meetings into either 2 meetings over 2 days, or an afternoon meeting, or even a once a month commemoration of whatever month it is, or awards given to people, where it's more of a pleasantries for that once a month meeting, so that you do meet 4 times a month, because right now you meet 3 times a month. And then the rest is really city business. You know, that we really get to our meat and potatoes of what's going on. And not only that you do that at that meeting, but that we have a real awareness of what happens with our feedback. Where does it go? I mean, if the gentleman said he had more than 75 or 77% of signatures, but they were ignored, no, he had 88%, and that the number was supposed to be 77%, that's a metric that you can use and say, we did what you said we should do, but you didn't do anything about it. I mean, people come and they speak, and they come from their community, and they want to know what happens. This gentleman here who had to stop speaking, what happens to his, comments? Thank you, Mr. Kasakian, for saying, I will stay later, and I will listen to you, but what happens even after Mr. Kasakian says that? I think people really need to know that. Thank you.
Well, Let me just say, and I wanted to say this at the outset, and I didn't know what the right time was, but for folks who live here, or quite honestly, anywhere in Glendale, I want to share with you the MyGlendale app. It's an app that the city developed. It's a resource for you to, when you see something that is out of place. I know that there's sometimes bulky items like trash that's dumped, you see a sidewalk that's not repaired, or you see a crosswalk signal that's not working, or a button that's not working. If you open up, you download the app, you log in, you put in the information. You can also put issues in anonymously, and the city department that is assigned to address that issue will receive it. And I will tell you that it is effective most of the time. I would say it is a rarity, you know, maybe 1 out of 10 times something will fall by the wayside, it's still there, but eventually what does get taken care of. So I want to encourage everyone who's wondering, well, who do I talk to about an issue? I have a concern. Of course, there are bigger complaints and issues that are neighborhood-wise, like Mr. Massey brought up, but please take advantage of the MyGlendale app. I don't think enough people do. And once you start using it, you'll become a frequent user because you'll go around on your walks or your drives taking pictures of things that you know we can improve on. Thank you. And with that, if my colleagues don't have anything else.
Thank you. If there's nothing else?
Mr. Mayor, actually, I wanted to indicate the departments and representative from those departments who are present, who will be staying behind, who'd be more than happy to have conversations with anyone who has questions, has complaints, was noted. Of course, our police and fire, our uniformed personnel are standing back there. You can't miss them. We also have General Manager of Water and Power, Scott Mellon. You heard from Onik Bolanikian, our Director of Community Service and Parks. We have Library, Arts and Culture Director, who just stood up. Obviously, folks from our Public Works, Engineering, 4 of them, I think, are here. Our Director of Finance is here. Staff from my office, including our communication team, is here. We even have someone from the IT. If you have any issues with your computers and you want to ask him a question, Tristan is here.
Okay, so everyone's invited to stay late. This meeting is adjourned.